Evening to those of you watching at home. It is the 21st night of September. Most people associate that with Earth, Wind and Fire, but here at Amigos Racing Team we're bringing some water as well. It's your boy SuperSquid in the commentary booth once again for the Amigos Racing Team Academy, and joining me on this soaked night here in the Red Bull Ring in Austria is OMDolton. Mr. Dalton, how are you doing? I wish I'd brought my umbrella from work as much as for the race tonight, but I'm doing okay. That second shower's definitely going to be saved until the morning. So, let's get into tonight's event. As we mentioned before in our last video, the Amigos Racing Team Academy is our set of drivers who are looking to make the jump into our full racing team, competing at kind of national, international events, all kinds of fun stuff. But will they make the grade tonight is what we need to see. And tonight's race, we said, is taking place at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria, the Styrian Hills. We've got a lap of about 4.5 kilometers, 10 turns, 3 to the left, 7 to the right. And we're looking at a 50-minute race, which could be roughly 30 laps, give or take. As you can see, some laps might be a little bit longer if we're sliding around in the slush. Your best spots to overtake will be at Turn 1, the newly named Niki Lauda curve. Turn 3 at the very top of the track, Remus. Perhaps another one is the Rausch Bend, or Slosgold as it's also known. And that's pretty much your shot until you get through sectors 2 and 3. Sergeant Carolyn showing us how not to take Turn 1. Perhaps maybe Mr. Dalton, you could tell us what we're looking at as they're about to start the race, even. What we'd expect to see today. So, 5 red lights. The lights are off, the race is on. Keeney is leading the way from the first corner in these beautifully liveried up Porsche 911 RSRs. They are going too wide into Turn 1, never the best recommendation, especially in the rain, but it looks like they are just about going to make it. We're going to try and jump board from the back of Keeney, if I can get to Keeney. There he is. Oh, where's the rear view button? I can't seem to find it. Never mind, the rear view's gone. There we go, I have to hold it on the controller instead, I think, as Keeney has quite a comfortable lead there into Turn 1. Since he's just about got to the apex as well. Big dive bomb, is that from Dog? Oh. Let's have a look as they're about going to go side by side down the top straight there. Voodoo's just about pulled away from Matt. I think if we look backwards, he's definitely away from Matt there. There's some action at the back of the pack though. If we jump back a little further, Kakalele is trying to outbrake Sergeant Carolyn, but Carolyn has the racing line. Kakalele gives way very gentlemanly. Urban Fire's just taking his time at the back, as he tends to do. Kind of the silent assassin at the rear of the field here. We might see him go for an interesting strategy. Dalton, what are you noticing about tyres? I'm seeing mixes of inters and full wets. We'll have to see over the next few laps or so then, because obviously the first lap will not count. But of course, the moisture indicator just left of the tyres. Oh, what's happened there? Matt's gone. Let's have a look. See if we can focus on Matt. Matt has been sparing. Can we get a replay? Looks like we can. Let's see what's happened to Matt here. So he's revving the throttle there, through towards the second to last corner. Sees a gap on the inside of Bertie. Bit of contact there, and I think sliding across the track there, maybe a bit of rumble strip as well, caused him to lose control. So Matt down into P8. He did, but I think Urban and Kakalele got just as good a run as well, and Urban's going to go around the outside. Kakalele, no, he's going to let him go. Urban could have had that move and he's ducked out. Not sure if that's the best choice. That's me bundling them up Concertina style. Key's got it, and Voodoo's round. Let's have a look. We're going to get the replay now on Voodoo. As you say, he had a good run out the first corner, slipstreaming Keeney, but it looks like Dog's on the inside. They did leave the space, maybe a slight nudge on the exit, but I think, yeah, he's put his foot down on the rumble strip, slipperyest part of the circuit, and that's what's put him sideways. So Keeney retains the lead. I say Keeney retains the lead. He's lost it to Dog indeed. We do, and Keeney's now under threat immediately from Bertie in P3. Oh, and there's a car shooting off the circuit there. What's that? Is that Sergeant Colon? It is. Sergeant Colon's gone off in the grass. Let's see if we can get a shot of what's happened there. Let's have a look as Colon is heading into the second left-hand of the middle sector. He's hit Bertie and then immediately stepped right onto the bumper of Kakalele. So Colon has caused that with some late braking there and puts him down into P7. Colon is also a little bit wider at the final corner. Voodoo should then be able to take that place, I think, quite comfortably by the time they make it to turn 1. Oh, Voodoo, they're using all the circuit, probably trying to get a bit more water on those wet tyres and make them work. But if you look at the bottom left of your screen, I think we can see we're almost, considering soft tyres, it's going to be very close. I say the crossover, if there's no more rain, should be within the next 2 laps or so. Of course, the more cars on track, the quicker the racing line will dry up. Dalton, if you can check your mic is on, please, because Chris says he cannot hear you at all. Yep, I can definitely hear you. Okay, I will try and turn you up if I can on my party chat. Let me see if I can turn you up just a little bit here. There we go. Josh can't hear you either. Cuz he's enjoying my comms at least. But alright, Dalton's going to jack back in. I'm going to turn down just a little bit in case that's a bit too loud for everybody. But in the meantime, I think we can see Matt there going for a big dive on the inside there. Chris saying he's still not got any voice from Dalton, so we're trying to sort that out for you in the meantime. He's going to unplug and replug. The old turn it off and on again, as we know works in every situation. I should have the include party audio on because it said when I went to stream, do you want to include party audio? So that should be on. So in the meantime, as we continue, we have Dog in the lead by a monster margin there, 3.3 seconds. Keeney in second place on the wet tyres, had a great start when the weather was really chucking it down, but as it's now eased off, those wet tyres are going to start to get a little bit hot and really not be working their best. Matt 237, another 2.5 seconds down the road there, also on the wet tyres. Urban in P4, we said he was going to make a stealthy approach to the front of the pack, and he's doing so. Josh, if you weren't aware from the start, this is a 50-minute race, just an endurance race. We're looking at around 30 laps, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. As it stands, they've only had about 6.5 minutes, so still plenty of action to come, I am sure, especially if Urban Fire is going to get a move on through the pack from P8 to P4 in just 3 laps. We've got Bertie there in P5, but on his kind of an island at the moment, as is Kakalele. Voodoo is in P7, but they're still fighting for last place as Colon sneaks up the inside. A very opportunistic move there into the middle sector. Voodoo going to have to catch back up really quickly. He's got the intermediate tyres, he's on the right tyres, but how long will they last? And when, crucially, is that crossover point going to be? It could be within the next 3 or 4 laps, I'm certain. Okay, if you can hear Dalton now, please let us know. I will try my very best to see if there's a reason why it's not working, but as far as I can tell, party audio is included. Unless maybe your settings on your end don't need to be shared, because I know there's a thing where you don't have to share your voice in broadcast in the settings. Okay, if not, then perhaps I can just use you as our kind of pit information dude. You can be our man on the wall. But if you can hear him, please let us know in the comments. That'd be very, very grateful. Because he still can't hear. Okay. Look, that's a shame because he's got some crazy one-liners. Have to feed them to me now and I'll pretend that they were mine. Still nothing from Dalton. We'll have to fix that one for us. Of course, you would hope that the hills would be alive for the sound of Dalton in Austria, but unfortunately no, and that is one I've stolen from him, so that is all his. Anyway, let's get back up to the... Actually, I'll say the front. Nothing's going on at the front. Dog's 9 seconds away. It's all happening down in P2. If we can jump on board with Keeney, if I could please, for the love of me, find the reverse camera. If I could also find where all my tabs have gone, we'd be able to find out what's going on behind Keeney. Also worth noting there, Keeney's now dropping into his last few dregs of fuel. You can see the fuel indicator's gone red, and he's going to consider going in. No, he's got to duck back out. He's missed the pit entry, and that's cost him 2 positions at least. In fact, he's missed the pit lane, almost rejoined the track. Now he's going to go into the pit lane to pit, but that's probably going to cost him a good 3 seconds. Because he's asking if he has got his orders to share. He says he has done.
I found another hidden toggle.
Alright, Dalton's found another hidden setting. He's found the party mode. Can you all guys receive Dalton on party mode? Oh, he hears him. He's good.
There we go.
Because he's got him. The hills are alive with the sound of Dalton.
Well, it's only 6 laps late.
Only 6 laps late, but there's still plenty more to go. Probably another... I would say probably another 24, 25 at this rate. Chris has gone, ooh, evening fella, so he clearly likes your voice.
Alrighty then.
Alright.
So where were we?
So we are on lap 6. Dog has a very commanding lead at the moment. Because he's going Dalton. So, Dog with a 9.7 second lead. Matt has crawled his way back up the pack from a spin on lap 2 to 1.9 seconds up on Bertie. Just ahead of him, 1.5 seconds, is Kakalele. A bit of a drop back there to Urban Fire in P5. So I think Keeney's gone for a spin. He has, coming out the pit lane. He's gone for soft tyres, but I bet you he's spun on the wet exit of the pit lane.
A pit lane penalty.
Of course, he'll be very annoyed with that, but he's going to be our first driver on the soft tyres as Dog dives into the pit with 1% fuel as well.
Yeah, he had to come in anyway. So
let's see. Matt's going around again.
Take the softs.
As is Bertie. Kakalele is diving into the pits, as is Urban, as is Colon. Voodoo's a little bit further back, so we have to see him a bit later. Cuzzy says them cars look good. Hockers says good evening. They do indeed, and good evening, Hockers.
They do indeed. These liveries, courtesy of our good friend Elite Digits.
Yep, Chris, if you're watching, good job. Don't give up the day job because it's clearly working wonders with us. Let's see who's going to leave the pits here, as Dog is half full of a tank of fuel. He's definitely going to need another full tank at this rate, I'm sure, as Voodoo picks up a half-second penalty for track limits excursions.
Let's see, so Dog does in fact take a full tank of fuel. He is on the medium compounder tyre. Let's see how this works for him going into the second stint. Very, very slow coming out of the pit exit, but that might be AI.
Kakalele's put the wets on.
He needs to get...
And incurred a 3-second penalty, so that might be a misclick. Urban's gone for softs, as has Sergeant Colon. But how is this pit exit looking for these guys? And actually, if we jump out for Voodoo, coming around turn 1, I can hear some tyre squealing. Urban's gone around, I think.
Sergeant, they're all dropping it coming out of the exit.
Oh no, where's Keeney? Oh, he's coming around the last corner. He's still got some time left, but that's definitely not what they wanted to do. That's a lot of 3-second penalties we're going to see.
That bit of the track is still absolutely soaked. So there's a dry line. There is definitely a dry line. But if you go off the dry line, you're in trouble.
I think hopefully we'll start seeing Matt 237 on the dry line as he dives into the pits there. 2% fuel. He's definitely finished with his wet tyres. Coming round the finish line though is that... Oh, in fact I think Colon's gone round again. Sorry there. Just caught on my camera.
Coming across the line now. Let's see how it goes in the pits. Matt's not even into his pit box yet.
We show a quick replay of Sergeant Colon there as he heads around the turn 3. And yep, he's put his wheels onto the rumble strip. Of course, not dry out there, very slick indeed. And that's a spin for Sergeant Colon. Bertie resumes the lead then.
Ooh, he lost it again at turn 4. Just stuck 2 tyres on the inside curb and had a big old switch.
Of course, this is the gamble on the dry tyres. If you're in that racing line, if you're threading that needle all the way around the circuit, you will be the fastest people on track. But even an inch to the left or to the right, you could find yourself in a big spin and a world of pain.
Right. Out the pit exit now comes Matt 237. Dog does get the undercut on him.
See Matt there with the traction control, and he's round. And Kakalele's just about dodged that one. As
He
Matt
very much dodged a bullet.
heads off the track there to get back into the pits. If I can find Kakalele, we watch the replay here. Kakalele flying over the finish line there through turn 1. If we can get onto his chase cam there, Matt does a perfect pirouette and goodness me, by the skin of his teeth dodges that spinning Porsche.
That was millimeters. Voodoo, not sure why he's going out there on. Oh, he's on intermediates.
So Voodoo may be looking for the water. Kakalele is the fastest first sector of the race so far. I think he was about 2.5 tenths up there through sector 1. So we might see a new purple lap very, very soon.
Kakalele, he's on the wet. He's on the full wet tyres.
And I was very surprised at that, to be the fastest man on track on the wets.
Bertie's coming off the intermediates with an empty fuel tank.
Perhaps Kakalele knows something we don't.
Has he found the secret sauce?
Has he found the secret sauce? Or is he just going to run these crazy tyres into the dirt? We have no idea. Maybe there's more rain coming. I have not the foggiest clue. We've not seen any of the weather here.
We can't see the radar. What's he seen?
No, but I think he's definitely seen the Austrian flag underneath his Porsche there. That might be a work penalty for him as he comes around the final turn. That was incredibly wide, but of course
his time is.
The wet tyres will be okay.
It's not going to be purple.
No, he's a good 2 seconds off the pace there.
He's speeding up.
As Bertie's going to be leaving the pits now on soft tyres. Let's see how his pit exit is. I can't see any traction control indicators on, so this could be a very precarious exit for the pit lane here.
Creep out of the pit exit.
And he's around as well.
They're all looping it.
Oh, and here comes Voodoo. Oh, and Bertie very sensibly there off the edge of the track, making sure he does not cause an incident. Well, both in P4, there we go. Matt is just heading round turn 1 behind him. Keeney with the new fastest lap as well, 1:35.6. So the times are falling.
It's getting quicker.
So Voodoo, Dalton. Voodoo's racing, Dalton's talking. Dalton, what do you think you're expected to see as like a fastest lap by the end?
I think if it continues to stay dry, by the end we could be looking at a mid to a low 30.
Mid to low 30.
Voodoo nearly loses it in turn 4. He got way too on the curb at the outside and nearly outbroke himself completely.
Meanwhile, Matt is starting to really bear down. Oh, I say bear down on Bertie. He's just flown straight past Bertie. Let's see what's happened there. As we jump on board then with Big Crazy Bertie. See, he's got that 3-second penalty already for his pit spin. Let's see. So he's hard on the brakes down into turn number 5, I want to say, and he's just managed to catch a tiny puddle on his way mid-corner. So that's not done him any favours.
Keeney's purple in 2.
Keeney's really going for it now. Let's have a look on board with Keeney then, as he heads his way through the penalty zone into the final sector. Hocker's put in the comments, who's giving the points out for the best spin?
We'll leave that one to you folks watching on the stream.
Chris gave that last one a 7.6. But I think...
and Keeney goes... Oh, Matt's gone even faster, 33.3 now.
33.3 is a scorching time there, so Matt must be right inside that dry line as Keeney's just nudged off of it. He's into the pit entry onto the grass. But he's only just kept in a straight line. Good job there from Keeney. He's made such strides. He's made such strides in his car control recently, so mad props to Keeney for keeping that one on the straight and narrow, even if it was a little bit adventurously done.
Yeah, I've been driving with Keeney quite a bit in the last couple months, and I do have to say his driving has come on leaps and bounds, I say, as he goes wide at turn 3.
Leaping and bounding over the grass. Voodoo a little bit slow on the exit there of Roush, and that means that Matt's going to rob inside him, but he's had to take to the grass. What a save there by Matt. Incredible save there. Let's get another shot of that. So, you see there, Voodoo is running wide. Matt has to take the inside, but that of course is not the dry line. As soon as he puts his foot down, lights up the rears, but manages to catch that slide before it turns into a pirouette. So unfortunately we can't rate that very high on the spin score, but he's done a fantastic job to keep it in racing room. Just behind him as well, Keeney and Urban Fire I think are starting to get into it. Urban only half a second back, so he might well see a move heading to final sector. If not earlier, Keeney catches the rumble strip on the brakes. Again, a half spin from him. Urban Fire passes into the gravel, and now Keeney's going to take him again. We've seen some crazy driving here. Exactly. I
The
don't know if
dry
they want
line
to
is
be on
getting
wets.
wider, but while there's still water on the track, it's anyone's game.
It really could go any which way at the moment, as Matt is now right on the back of
Whoa,
Voodoo
Keeney.
again.
Keeney
What's
with
that?
a big four-wheel drift round turn 10.
Of course, we love to see a little bit of four-wheel drift. Not the fastest way about it, but definitely the most exciting. Matt is now again purple in the first sector and almost bumper to bumper with Voodoo. In fact, they are bumper to bumper. Voodoo spun on the exit curve and Matt's nudged him around just for desserts there, but unfortunately for Voodoo, Matt is going to shoot off into the distance. He's now got to hunt down Kakalele 19 seconds up the road.
Yeah, Kakalele and Dog being super consistent. Kakalele somehow managing to do this on the extreme wet tyres.
As that Bertie heads past Sergeant Colin, who's decided he wants to have another trip into the exit of the pits there. Colin now safely rejoining the track. But yes, worth mentioning, Kakalele on the wet tyres, they are starting to show solid signs of wear now at the rear. But I think, it's the safer option, I guess. If you don't want to be worrying about falling off the racing line, keeping the wets or the inters on, it's going to do well. Except on the dry line here, he really ought to be looking for those wet patches, keep the tyres cool and reduce the wear if he wants the chance at catching Dog.
Yeah, I think, though, in terms of going between the inters or the wets here, for the game he's playing, I think the wets are probably the better option. They're considerably more durable than the inters.
I was just going to say, if he was on the inters, he'd be much more signs of wear than the wets he's on now. But will these last until another period of rain, if there is one, crucially?
Somehow he's actually slowly closing the gap to Dog. It's come down about half a second in the last lap.
Yeah, I think he is. He's not on the same pace as Matt necessarily, and Matt has reeled him in by about 3 seconds on that last lap alone.
3 seconds a lap out of him.
But at this rate, if it carries on like this, we might well see a three-way battle for the lead in the next couple of laps. And for all we know, if the rain hits, you know who's staying out and who's going in.
Yeah. I should probably note though, turn 3 Remus, Matt took 1 second out of Kakalele.
1 second in a corner.
In a single corner.
I think someone who's losing a couple of seconds in a corner might well be, it's not Sergeant Colon, I think that is Urban, who's decided to explore the hills of Styria.
Voodoo had
the
a
top corner
slight
there.
excursion at turn 5, he's recovered it.
Yeah, I can see he's just picking up the pieces there. So our drivers seem to be fairly scattered for the time being, but we'll give you a quick rundown as we head towards the halfway mark of our race. We've got Dog in the lead on the medium tyre, 9.3 seconds up the road from our favourite Trinidadian Kakalele. He pitted for the wet tyres once the rain stopped. A strange choice, I know, but it's working fairly well for him so far in P2. 11.3 seconds back, and having just set another blistering lap of 32.8 is Matt 237. He only needs to finish 7th to wrap up the Amigos Racing Team Academy title and guarantee that spot in the main team. P4 is Voodoo, 15.5 seconds down the road, and just behind him down the straight there is Keeney, 8.3 seconds. 16 seconds behind him is Urban Fire, and a couple seconds behind him is Big Crazy Bertie, who we know is quite happy to drive the slower stints if it means that he doesn't have to make as many pit stops. And last but certainly not least, 18 seconds back, coming through the final sector, is Sergeant Colon, who's I think enjoyed facing backwards more than he has forwards this evening.
He has had a bit of a mare in the last few laps.
Of course, I think
he loses it again.
Oh,
he's having turn 10.
He's having all kinds of problems with this mixed terrain here, with these mixed conditions, and I think many of us will remember the 21st night of September, but I think this is one that Colin will want to forget.
It's as you said, water typically doesn't feature in that lineup.
No, I don't remember Earth, Wind and Fire. There's an element that's missing if you're an Avatar fan, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Dog extending his leads now by another 1.5 seconds there over Kakalele, and I do fear that Matt 237 will reach him soon. Urban's gone again. No, you're kidding. And I think actually Matt's gone off as well. I was going to say Kakalele was being reeled in, and Matt's now thrown away another at least 10 seconds to Kakalele there as he picks up the pace out the final corner. I think there's a battle going through the middle sector. Is that Bertie and Urban, I think. It looks like it might well be soon, yes. Urban
that
with
would be
rear damage.
after Urban looped it on the wet stuff when Bertie came through.
I can see that Urban really deliberately avoiding the rumble strips there, making sure that he doesn't invoke any more crazy spins in the Porsche, lest we rate them again.
He did have quite a significant amount of damage to his rear left corner, which has since recovered.
So Urban now is already taking half a second out of Bertie just for that final sector. He might well see an overtaking move now, so we're going to jump on board with Urban Fire and this wonderfully rendered interior of the 911 RSR. Let's see if he can make a move up the hill. He's right up behind Bertie.
Bertie all the way over onto the rumble strips. Urban's going to have to run and he's going to get it done.
Yeah, an easy move. Bertie, having run wide there, doesn't want to put his foot down and spin across his friend there. So Urban will take that move, and I'm fairly sure we'll run away with this one until we see him in the gravel again. And a purple first sector to boot there for Urban Fire. Good job.
Nicely done. As he gets the power down coming out of Remus.
We have a quick look at Voodoo.
Bertie, though.
In fact, I say look at Voodoo. Someone's had a spin at turn 1, I think, and that is, it's not Kakalele. Yeah. It wasn't Dog. That might be Sergeant Colon, I think. Sergeant Colon just loves facing the wrong way at turn 1. Maybe he's got some fans in the crowd he said he'd wave to. Yeah,
as he now does go a lap down.
Indeed, that Kakalele cut behind him there up the hill in P2. It's like it's still fairly close though. Near, I want to say that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that is P5. Keeney's just catching up to the rear of Voodoo now, it seems.
Urban Fire and Big Crazy Bertie still line astern, as they have been now for the last 2 laps.
Let's quickly catch up back up with them then. So indeed, Urban Fire not able to run away from Bertie as much as I thought he would do. But of course, you can see kicking up some spray there on the rumble strip. A really, really dangerous tactic, but trying not to leave any time on the table as he pulls away from Bertie down the straight there. Another half tenth or so.
Big TC cut there on the inside curve at 10.
And Don, what would be your views on running traction control in these kinds of conditions? Would you be looking to risk it for the chocolate biscuit or keeping it safe?
If it was me driving in these conditions, I would almost certainly have it on. I am not skilled enough to be driving in these changeable conditions with it off.
Cool, well it looks like Urban Fire with it on is about to go half a second purple, I say, until he goes wide at turn 3, and Bertie says thank you very much.
Big Crazy Bertie is 3/10 purple himself.
So perhaps maybe Matt there not having the kind of fascinating first sector that we thought he would. Let's see if we can ride on board with him as he's about to finish his lap and see how he's currently doing.
And Keeney are line astern as well. There's 3.5 tenths between them going into the final sector.
And I think there's a car stopped on the straight, if I can double check. It's definitely not Kakalele. Perhaps that is Sergeant Colon. It is Sergeant Colon, who with front damage, if I can double check what's happened there maybe. I can't really tell. He's just picking up pace off the start of the thing, the start of the track, and maybe he's gone off in the final turn then. So he is now lapped down to Matt 237 as well. There's a fight going on, I think, for P4 though. Voodoo and Keeney really getting close now.
The gap has widened a bit though in the last half a lap or so. It's up to a second now.
And just noting there, Voodoo on the intermediates, Keeney on the racing softs, but Voodoo with a touch more fuel. So it'll be interesting to see what they might be seeing on the weather radar, how heavy they go for fuel, and how aggressively Keeney wants this place now.
Big run out of turn 3.
Of course, with the softer tyres, so you see there actually Voodoo dipping his tyres into the water there, trying to keep them cool, dipping over the rumble strip too, just try and get some more water on them and eke out a little bit more tyre life. But I think while the track is still as bone dry as it seems to be now, Keeney should easily run away through this middle sector.
Keeney may have to box this lap though with how little fuel he's got left.
He is running incredibly low. We have gone through the halfway period of this race now, and I believe every driver filled to a full tank, didn't they?
They some of them did. I didn't see what Keeney fueled to, but the likes of Dog and Matt, they did fill to fuel.
So if we compare then quickly, Matt still has about a quarter of a tank left, so he could probably still go for another.
Keeney does now peel into the pit lane, but loses it on the pit entry.
Oh, where's Keeney? There he is. Let's have a quick look then. What has happened to Keeney? We jump back on board then.
Absolutely soaking wet on the pit entry. and the racing softs just not living with it.
Well, of course, as the pit entry and exit are the most rarely used circuit parts of the circuit there. Yep, you see, even with the traction control, as soon as he puts his foot on the throttle, it lights up. Chris is asking, if it stays like this, can Kakalele steal third place from Sargent in the championship? Would you be able to check that for us, Dalton?
I can have a look, actually, yeah. I will have a look at the standings.
And while you do that, we're going to have a look at our current race order. Dog is in the lead by 11 seconds. Kakalele lead in P2 by 16.5 seconds from Matt 237. But those wet tyres are looking very, very worn, so he's going to have to get rid of those. Imagine how much faster he would have been on dry tyres this stint. It would have been remarkable. Matt 237 in P3. Go on then, Dalton.
So to answer your question, there's a 15-point gap between the two drivers at the moment. Kakalele would need to win the race to overtake Sergeant Colon at this point.
There we go then. So not impossible, but maybe not particularly likely.
But
as
if he would finish P2, he would finish 2 points behind Sergeant Colon in the standings.
Incredibly unfortunate. But Matt there will now overtake Kakalele as he makes his pit stop. Kakalele hitting the pit box there. That means Voodoo also diving into the pits there on the intermediate tyres. I think very grateful then that the pit exit wasn't as scary as it could have been. Urban Fire still yet to choose, but he's got Big Crazy Bertie right up his chuff there into the final sector. Is anyone? I think Urban's got to peel in. What about Bertie though? He likes his longer stints.
Bertie's still got a quarter of a tank of fuel.
So I'm sure we'll see Urban duck in here, but how's his pit entry? Oh, he's very ginger there on the throttle.
Yeah, just crawling in.
But he's done an excellent job there.
Kakalele somehow has taken another set of extremes.
So Kakalele is really hoping for some rain then. He's really praying to the rain gods to let their fury down on the Styrian Hills, but it's not happened yet. Chris says, thanks for the update. Anything can happen in the Academy races. In
his seat, in his cockpit, he must be doing one hell of a rain dance right now.
Someone who's not doing a rain dance though is Voodoo. I think he's hoping for a time machine so he can go back and get the most out of these hard tyres he's just slapped on.
Not sure what he was thinking with the hards. Maybe he doesn't expect there to be any more rain, or he's hoping there isn't going to be.
Well, if there's no more rain for 20 minutes, the hards should last. But I think if we have a look at Dog, who is on the mediums for about, I want to say, 20 minutes, they're barely even touched. I think if he was hoping for no rain, he'd put the softs on.
Yeah. Seems like a bit of an odd play to me.
Well, I suppose, you know, if he goes on the hards, there's almost no chance that there will be any degradation. It is the safest way, but maybe not the fastest. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, they're also, the tyre delta from the softs to the hards is going to be about a second a lap around here.
So Voodoo is definitely not going to be the fastest person on track, but if he keeps it on the track, that makes all the difference. Dog pitting for a full tank of fuel and soft tyres. Someone's been listening to the commentary, but let's see. If it rains, he's going to be very, very sorry. And you don't want to see that wet dog shake itself out.
Dog's got himself a penalty.
A 3-second penalty for Dog, and that's going to bite right into the man behind him, Mr. Kakalele, who are on a warm set now of wet tyres. He's going to be very happy to see that 3-second penalty above his comrade there. I can't believe Kakalele's gone for 2 sets of wets in the dry, but this could be an absolute masterstroke.
It could be an absolute 200 IQ play.
We are going to see Matt dip into the pits this lap. I don't think he's got 30, let's see, his Kakalele's gap is 34 seconds. I don't think he's got 34 seconds in the pit stop, but if he can make this work, Kakalele might just have pulled off the 300 IQ, big brain, pro gamer move.
Matt is now in, I'll keep an eye on him.
Okay, so as Dalton's going to get on Matt, we're going to have a look at the fight between Dog and Kakalele. Well, not so much a fight right now, but Dog will take that 3-second penalty. And that will feel like an absolute eternity to the guy. And let's see if Kakalele has a chance to make that move. Of course, Kakalele will be right to take the inside line if it's wet. Dog is still slowing down on the wet line. Dog spun on the wet line, taking his penalty. That's free time for Kakalele. And I think Bertie is going to grab a place there as well as he dives into the pits.
Matt's fueling. Where is Kakalele? He's on the pit straight. He's on the start finish straight now.
Kakalele is coming down the main straight, crossing the timing line. So he has definitely managed to get past Matt.
He's got 83%.
So Matt there may be known that Kakalele is coming down the straight, needs to get out of the pits quickly. That pit lane is still a little bit damp, but he's managed it very well. And now this is going to be where the fight happens, because Matt is on racing soft tyres, Kakalele is on extreme wets, the absolute polar opposites of the tyre compounds available. And Matt needs to absolutely pray that he can get past Kakalele and with some distance.
Do it quick.
Because if there's rain, Kakalele may well have won this race already.
As he takes a second out of him in Remus.
Exactly, that's a second gone in one corner. Let's see as he hunts him down through Roush turn. Let's have a look. Hard on the brakes there, slamming down the gears into second, rotates the car neatly at the apex, first for rotation, back up, and that is another half a second there, just through the second corner there possible. He might well have him by the time they get to the end of the lap.
I really am starting to question Kakalele's thinking with the two sets of extreme wets back to back on a dry track.
Absolutely, if he'd gone for softs on the first stint, he might well be miles away from Matt, but in fact it looks like Matt is going to try and take him down the outside even. Kakalele takes the wet line. Matt is around the outside already. They are all so close, but a great move there by Matt. Matt clearly is on a mission. He has no time to waste. He's taking no prisoners, and he wants to convincingly win this series, but he's got to hope and pray that there is no rain, or Kakalele will be licking his lips.
Speaking of rain, is it me or is it starting to get a bit darker?
It's looking a touch darker, possibly. Maybe I need to sort out the contrast on my TV, but I think it's going just a touch greyer. We'll have a look as our drivers far away through the track. Is Matt and Kakalele spearheading the pack. Dog in P3. Keeney is in 4th. We then have Voodoo in P5. I think that's Sergeant Colin with the penalty. He's been a lap down there. Bertie is P6. Urban is 7th. I think that is indeed Sergeant Colon heading around turn 1, a lap down. But I think you are right. It is looking grey, I must say.
It's getting greyer quite quickly. I have to know. It's where has the sun gone?
Yes, the sun is slowly disappearing, and unfortunately for Matt, I don't think he's disappearing quite as quickly. He would have needed to have pulled out about 10 seconds this lap alone, because if it rains anytime soon, he needs to be in those pits and out like a shot. He's already almost a second purple on his own fastest lap, which is an incredible effort, but Kakalele is still only 5 seconds back, and that is not going to be enough to get him free if the heavens open.
I will say though, if it does start absolutely bucketing down, Kakalele is in the pound seats.
He is going to have this one in the bag, and I think really I'm just waiting to see those windscreen wipers start sliding across those cars, and then we are really going to have a final on our hands there. Matt 237, 1.3 seconds faster. That's an incredible effort from him. And you can see, look, he's ragging that Porsche to the absolute limit. Again, trying not to take the curbs as much as he can. But that is now from 4 to 6 seconds just in the final sector of the lap. That's an incredible effort he's put there.
He's trying to disappear up the road as quickly as is humanly possible in case the heavens do in fact open.
He will have to, and I'm looking at Kakalele's tyres. That rear left has definitely seen better days. It must be about a third worn. I think it will last the end of this race, whether it's dry or wet, but Kakalele will also be praying for rain just to make sure that those tyres do make it to the end comfortably.
And just to help them cool down a bit, because it's quite clear they are starting to overheat badly.
I feel like I am seeing just a hint.
A bit through turn 4.
I feel like I am seeing just a hint of mist. Maybe it's my screen playing tricks on me, but I feel like there might be a couple drops in the air.
No, I'm seeing it as well. It's starting to look like it is threatening rain.
I was watching you say it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, because I'm definitely not ready for that.
It is 3 months early for that, my guy.
It is. Well, you should tell my local card shop. They were having Christmas cards up at the end of August.
Oh, I know. It's disgraceful.
It is disgraceful. But what is definitely not disgraceful has been the fantastic level of racing we've seen tonight. We've seen a couple spins and slides and pirouettes, as you would in the rain, typically. But the sportsmanship has been second to none, and these guys really have enjoyed racing each other from the start to the end of the series. It's been a real testament to the ability of the drivers that we've really put on the pedestal here for the Academy Series.
I'm just going to interrupt you there. We've got a big fight brewing for the third spot on the podium. Keeney is right on the back of Dog coming out of the last corner.
And we are watching it. We've been following it for a little while. Dog is going to go for the move now into turn one. A good slipstream. Oh, sorry, Keeney's going for the move instead. Keeney is on the inside. Let's have a look. Keeney is a little bit slower on the exit. We're going to jump on board there with Dog.
On the exit.
I think Keeney did just about park it on the apex there. Dog will have a good slipstream up the hill, but of course overtaking here just gives Keeney a chance to have him back as they head out of turn 3. The move is not on for the time being. Keeney's a bit too far away. He's gone deep into the braking zone though. Can Dog take him before they get down to Rush?
No, I think he's in the wrong gear there. Just couldn't get the power down.
So let's see there. Keeney has pulled it away there by a second in that corner, so maybe this Dog will have to fight another day. It's not happening for him. Keeney is pulling away bit by bit there. Dalton, what do you think about the weather now? Do we think it's still any grey, or I'm not too sure?
Getting greyer and greyer by the moment.
It is indeed. Of course, there are still some slightly wet patches on the track, but the racing line itself hasn't gotten any damper since the rain stopped. I want to say about 30 minutes ago, so nothing really changing weather-wise yet, but we're just waiting as Vutu goes off there and Bertie takes him up the inside. We are just waiting for those specks of rain to appear in the windscreen wipers, and then we'll have another interesting end to our race. We check back in at the front there. Matt has pulled out, you won't believe this Dalton, 16.9 seconds over Kakalele since we last checked in, so he really is putting his foot down.
He is absolutely absconding up the road.
You see there, Matt 237 lapping in 31s, 32s, 33s, Kakalele down in the 36s and 38s. And those wet tyres, especially at the rear now, really are starting to give him some trouble.
Yeah, I think it may have been a little early to be going onto those wet tyres. I think the soft stint would have probably served him well as Voodoo comes into the pits to get rid of those hard tyres.
But what is Voodoo going to change to? Because we can't see any rain down in the pit lane.
I wonder what he's seen on the radar.
The tyres definitely look slick from the pit box angle, but of course I don't think they really render those for the pit scenes. Let's have a look. He definitely should be needing any fuel. He's having fuel anyway.
He definitely didn't need it, but he is taking some. He's taking a full tank.
As I believe that must be maybe Sergeant Colon going past him in the pit lane. He's gone for intermediate tyres. Matt is also into the pits.
They've seen something on the radar. Maybe the rain is in fact coming.
Maybe the rain is inbound, yes. So Matt is in. Keep an eye out for what tyres Matt goes on, please, as Kakalele now is heading around the final turn. He should have plenty of fuel to make the end of this race, but what is the gap going to be? The gap was about, I think, 19 seconds there when when Matt went into the pits.
Kakalele goes through. Matt's going to take a bit of fuel.
Kakalele is through there. He's gone for full wets, it looks like, yes. He will still emerge a fair way behind Kakalele, and Keeney and Dog are also following suit. Where is Bertie? He's on the softs. He's going to stick it out another lap.
Keeney and Dog are in. Keeney's in his pit box.
And in the meantime, let's have a look where Urban Fight is. He's just up the road there from Voodoo. Urban is already on the intermediates though. A little bit of wear, but the windscreen wiper is now going, so we are now going to have some more definite rain. Does Urban though pit for wets, or does he stick it out in the inters? We'll have to see in a minute as the track gets damp. Dogs on inters, Keeney's on wets, so some mixed strategies here. Regarding Kakalele and Matt, the gap somehow is only 4.3 seconds.
So now we've got a race on our hands. We've got 8 minutes to go.
Matt's going to need
front two.
Yeah, I think with about, if it's a 1 minute 30, 1 minute 40 a lap, if Matt can reel in about, I think we need about a second a lap here, he could have a fight for the lead right at the end of the race.
Kakalele is going to have to defend for his life if he wants third place in the championship.
I was about to say, can you remind us what happens if Kakalele wins this race? He takes third place right off of Colon. And that would be an incredible turnout for the books. The rain is definitely coming down now. And I don't think this is going to be a simple summer shower. This is going to be an absolute downpour by the looks of it.
Yeah, this is looking to be raining absolute cats and dogs. That is considerable amounts of water hitting the track.
That is very heavy rain. If you look at your
Caccalelli has a
moisture meter on the
quick
left,
set of one.
that is definitely going to be intermediate weather. I think it is intermediate weather now, as Keeney has a 3-second penalty there. I think after leaving the pits, that's going to allow Dog to run away a little bit further. And in fact, we've almost skipped the intermediate phase entirely, it looks like there. And I think we're going to be on full wet track very soon. Bertie into the pits. But has Bertie left it too late?
He's holding the gap at about 3.5 seconds or so. So I think he may have pulled a master stroke here.
If Kakalele somehow wins this race by doing...
Oh, he's gone deep in 4!
He has gone deep. Matt's also gone a little bit deep. He's gone slightly sideways. He keeps it on the black stuff. Or the slick black stuff. You can't really tell much more of it now. But Kakalele has lost another second there.
Switches out of 4 into 5.
But still, if Kakalele wins this race after 1.5 dry stints on wet tyres, I will eat something I shouldn't. I just see that Kakalele as well getting all kinds of sideways there. Kakalele, to his credit, is not running traction control. This is the maddest of lads. No traction control, aquaplaning track, worn wet tyres, and Matt is past. Let's have a quick look though into the second to last corner. Matt is still squirming under the brakes.
Yes, he can, just about.
But again, checking the rain meter on the left, where you see it goes darker blue on top of the stack, that means that they're driving through float through standing water or a puddle, and the car at that point is aquaplaning. It has no grip at all. There will just be passengers when it hits those parts of the circuit. Kakalele's tyres there are definitely looking much worse for wear than Matt's, and if Kakalele can just hold on and hope for a mistake in the next 5 and a bit minutes, he could still win this race, as I hear Matt lighting it up there through the exit of turn 1. Kakalele easing the throttle in now, I think.
Yeah, the difference between these two tyre combines, the inters and the full wets, the intermediates at 200 mile an hour will clear out. Not all of these cars can get 200 mile an hour, mind you, but at 200 mile an hour, the intermediates will clear out 35 litres of water a second. The extreme wets will clear out 80 litres a second.
80 litres a second. That's
enough to fill a bathtub and then some in a second.
The more you know. Water magic with OMDolton. Think someone who could do with some water magic now, maybe some armbands, might well be Matt237. He's squirming all over the place.
All over the place.
In that Porsche, but he is... Kakalele, I was saying he's holding Kakalele. He is just holding off there. As Cuzzy, I think, has put in an interesting comment about our friend Kakalele. He says, absolute king using no TC. Well, he might get your respect for using no traction control, but he's not going to be the king if he's in P2.
Understeering like that car is understeering like a pig now in these full wet conditions.
But this pig's still got a lot more pace than the Dog, it seems, in P3, and he's got Keeney in 4th. Now, crucially, Dog is on the inters, Keeney's on the full wet, so this really is going to be Keeney's optimal condition now, because Dog will be sliding all over the surface of the track there, squirming for grip, struggling for traction, and I think it's a matter of time until Keeney takes that final podium place.
Yeah, if Dog even so much as looks at a puddle funny, he's just going to be going straight off into the barriers.
And just for perspective here, right up behind another car with a wake and the downforce and the pouring rain, the visibility is so poor behind these other cars, but Keeney's doing a great job to try and keep up with Dog there. I think, without being disrespectful, Dog being a faster driver, but Keeney is really making the most of a better strategic option, I think, here. Bonnievale saying he wouldn't mind power sliding in this weather.
Flag.
We do have a yellow flag. Is that Sergeant Colon? It's Sergeant Colon. Come on, Colon, stop ruining the interesting bit near the end. We got just under 3 minutes left. That could be 2 more laps, I believe.
A 1 second penalty behind Voodoo.
So Urban's going to drop back behind Voodoo then, but Keeney is not going to drop back behind Dog. He's going to go for this move down the front straight, I think. Let's have a look outside. You can barely see them heading into turn 1, but Keeney is on the inside, but just too far behind. Another yellow flag. Is that Colon again? I think it might well be. Keeney getting very sideways there.
Not sure what Sarge is doing.
Colon is reversing up the straight.
That's one way to do it.
Well, I suppose he's going to have some fun in the bath. Maybe I can't really blame him for that one.
He's trying to do a J-turn, I think.
Trying to do a J-turn. Only Colon. I think he knows that this is done. He might well just keep P3. Matt is 10.8 seconds up the road from Kakalele. He's not just going to want to win this race, but he wants to utterly crush the people he's been racing with tonight. And this is a storming lead he's managed to work out by the end.
Well, based on the lap times Matt is doing, we do now have a white flag. Final lap.
So this one should be the last lap of the race. Matt is 12.5 seconds now up on Kakalele, who again is still not on the traction control. Big respect to Kakalele. Keeney and Dog in third and fourth are still almost inseparable. Keeney having now gotten past Dog.
Now Keeney needs to take off up the road.
And he does need
8/10 behind him to Dog.
Indeed, he does need to absolutely disappear. Absolutely disappear. Dog, we said though, is on the intermediate tyres, which will not be enjoying anything above that middle segment of the moisture meter in the bottom left of your screen there.
Went a bit wide in turn 3. He's recovered it though.
I think with a 12-second gap, he can afford to take in the scenery just a touch.
Just a little. So
Dog and Keeney is still battling it out, but Keeney now really may have to put the foot down.
Getting a bit squirrely on the brakes.
I think Keeney's going to have this one in the bag for P3. He can just get so much better traction in the wet here. Bertie in P5, a great consistent race by Bertie. That's been completely, I think, ignored, I must say, by the pair of us. Incredibly consistent and incredibly well managed.
Keeney's off.
Keeney's off. Let's have a look. Keeney has gone off there. Dog is now back into P3.
Excursion into the grass on the inside of one.
Let's see if we can have a quick look there as Keeney goes through turn 1. Gets a bit sideways through turn 1, cuts over the pit entry, and that will be what puts Dog into P3 as he slides past on the outside. But he's still right behind him. This is going to be the last lap of the race. Matt is heading through the final 2 turns now. I think Kakalele is 15 seconds down the road. There is no way he's going to catch him there. He's picked up a half-second penalty at the end, but I think Urban Fire might try and let Matt pass and get out of another lap. Matt 237 takes the win here at Spielberg, the Red Bull Ring. Kakalele is about to come through 16 seconds down the road, but the fight is still on for P3. Look how close they are, Dalton.
Yeah, half a second now. 7/10 as that opens up a little bit through Rauch in going into Verth.
And I would say that the rain is still getting heavier, as much as I'd like to not believe it. Dog is running a little wide there. Those intermediates are not doing him any favours. Kakalele in P2.
Switch, though. That's not going to help him.
This could come down to the final corners. Keeney is lining him up. He's got a great run through the S's. Here comes the move. He's looking up the inside. It's so close, but Dog is still there. There's one corner to go. This could be anyone's guess. Dog has to keep it on the track.
And it's a drag race for the line. It's going to be a drag race for the line.
Look at the traction from Keeney. This is incredible.
The traction, here we go.
Side by side.
He'll go over the line and Dog just about holds on.
Off by 0.3 of a second. I just about managed to grab that on the inside camera. But what a finish there from Keeney and Dog. Bertie coming home in P5 and not far behind either. Any mistake and he would have had an extra point. And last but certainly not least, crossing the penalty line there will be Voodoo to take P6. What an incredible race we've had here at the Red Bull Ring, Dalton.
That was an absolute barnstorm of a race. Thrills, spills, the hills were indeed alive.
There were many, many spills, I must say.
What a race.
So all those of you that say that wet races aren't fun, go back and watch the start of this one.
They're fun to watch.
I think that's the point. It's fun to watch. But our winner then, conquering the rain, the master of the Thunder and Lightning, ART Matt 237 with a fantastic result and convincingly securing the ART Academy title. Great job, Matt.
And Kakalele, unfortunately, not quite able to secure third place in the standings.
But what an incredible race he had. If only he'd run some dry tyres in that middle stint, he could have been... I mean, look at it. If he was 15 seconds behind, he lost so much time to Matt in that middle stint. If he'd been on dry tyres, he could have been right with him at the end of that race.
Yeah, but you've got to think, though, that second stint on the wets in the transition saved him a stop.
It did. The second stint was good, but in the middle of the race, when he ran a whole stint of dry weather on wet tyres, if he'd been on softs or mediums, that could have changed the game entirely.
Obviously, the risk would have been drastically increased with how narrow that dry line was to start and how easy it would have been to spin out.
But I think an
Right,
incredibly managed race
he-
from him, a fantastically managed race.
Indeed.
So to run you through our final standings, Dalton, if you'd like to do that.
Of course. The race or the championship?
The race.
Of course.
I'll tell you what, I'll take the race. You've got the points. You do the championship.
Oh, that's gonna be a minute.
All right, I'll give you some time then. So with 25 points and the race win is Matt 237. I believe it's 18 points for P2, isn't it, Dalton?
It's 20, then 16, then 13, then 11.
All right, so 20 points then. It goes to Kakalele, and he's probably my driver of the day. An incredible strategy.
Oh, mine
No
as
idea
well.
what corner of his brain he's pulled that from, but it's definitely working. 18 points, I think you said, then goes to ATC Dog. 16 points to Keeney in P4, and what an incredible fight that was all the way to the end of the race. 11 points you said there for Big Bertie down in P5. How many points for 6th, Mr. Dalton?
6 is 10.
10 points
9,
then.
And then all the way down.
10 for Voodoo in P6, 9 points for Urban Fire, and not having a great race but keeping his championship place, I think, is Sergeant Colon with 8 points.
So Kakalele will take 4th in the standings. Then it's Matt 237 takes the title. Dog comes up 25 points short at the end ultimately in P2. Sergeant Colon will retain P3.
So that sounds like Matt, Dog and Colon sharing the spoils here for the championship. Kazi says, great race, quality commentary, really enjoyed watching that. Chris said it's a brilliant race, well done to the podium guys and Matt, who's been quick all the way through Academy. Kazi saying, Kakalele my driver of the day, just for no TC in the heavy rain. Well, I think Kakalele coming from Trinidad, he probably never wears the traction control because there's never any rain anyway. Doesn't know what that button
Indeed.
does.
I'll tell you what the final gap was though between.
He's got the fan on, thinks
Kakalele and
TC is
Sergeant.
toe cooling.
Ah. So at the end of that, Kakalele fell short by 3 points.
He will be fuming, I'm sure, but what a great race he'd done to keep just that tiny margin at the end of a very long and challenging championship.
Yeah, congratulations to all drivers, no matter where they placed, especially to Matt, taking the title quite convincingly there.
Of course, but I'm sure many of these guys will be keen for a second bite of the apple there. And if you want to get involved with Amigos Racing Team, there should be a link to our Discord in the description of the video below. But with that all said, I think it's time to wrap up the video and let you guys enjoy the F1 race weekend in Japan if you're crazy enough to watch it that early, or if you'll be tuning in later as I will be. It's a good night from Squid.
And it's a good night from me.
Thanks for tuning, everybody. Have a wonderful Thursday evening and a great rest of your weekend. Take care.
Good night.